Hey everyone, it's Kong again, and here's another episode of Should You Summon? As always, I'll be presenting high-level overviews using these 4 criteria to help you decide whether this banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. How these characters fit into your team, whether they unlock any bonds for other characters, what kind of content they get used for, and their future availability. This week we're taking a look at a raid-up banner featuring Sigma and Zerida, running from March 18th to the 31st. Since it's not a Destiny banner, you have a 40% chance of getting each on-banner character, with the remaining unlucky 20% reserved for any off-banner hero in the regular summoning pool. Okay, so let's get started with Sigma. Sigma's SP Assassin class is becoming available this very week, which is probably why he's featured on this banner. Regardless of his class, his focus is on picking off enemies at long range. His 3-cost skill lets him mark a target anywhere on the map, and this allows him to do 15% extra damage to them. This skill then turns into a 4-range straight-line snipe. Since placing the ranger's mark doesn't count as an attack, this triggers the act again in his non-SP talent, which essentially allows you to mark a victim and then attack them at 6 range on the same turn. His SP talent gives him a boost to range and movement if he ends his turn without attacking, or 30% damage reduction if he has attacked. His new signature skill teleports him to the ranger's marked target and attacks, unaffected by melee penalties. If he has his talent boost active, neither unit's soldiers will even attack, making it a hero versus hero duel. After battle, you heal 50% HP, gain plus 50% counterattack damage, and of course you get the 30% damage reduction from your talent, essentially putting him in turtle shell mode until you can rescue him or move him away next turn. Let's face it though, most of the time this is going to end up being a trade scenario. He also has a 1-cost skill that lets him ignore guard if his talent boost is active, meaning he can effectively mark and assassinate, or at least attempt to assassinate, any target on the map. His unique helmet has a 25% chance to boost his attack by 20% for 4 turns. You need it maxed to unlock his SP class anyway, so you might as well use it unless you really want to invest and then switch to a King's Crown or something. You're usually not going to be assassinating on turn 1 anyway, so you do still have plenty of opportunities to proc this bonus. He's a member of Yles Legends buffed by Landius and Sigma, Meteor Strike buffed by Zerida, and Protagonists buffed by Matthew. So Sigma does have a faction buff for Yles Legends, and this gives affected allies a 15% damage boost as long as they're under 80% hit points. Now, for bonds, as the protagonist of his game, which is Langrisser 5, Sigma is of course a bond unlocking machine. He unlocks the defensive bonds for Alfred and Omega, and the attack bonds for Claret, Lambda, and Rainforce. For his own bonds, he needs Werner for his defensive bond and Ultimuller for his attack bond. On the content side, in PvE, he's on faction for Phoenix and Scylla in the Eternal Temple, and I could see him being able to use his range to nice effect against either of those bosses. He's also on faction against Jormungandr, Hugin and Munin, and Nidhogg in Ancient Beckoning. Like all archers, he should be able to pull his own weight against Hugin and Munin, especially if you don't have Matthew in his archer class. He might also be useful against the Thunder Dragon and maybe the Ice Dragon by doing on-type damage from a safe distance, but there are generally better characters for those jobs. Sigma's niche use in PvP used to be carrying another Yles Legends faction buff, or of course trying to snipe someone at range, but his new SP Assassin class makes him a lot more effective in that role thanks to his ability to ignore troops and/or ignore guard, depending on your setup. For availability, he doesn't show up on the predicted banner schedule after this banner, which means he won't be featured again until August at the very earliest. Okay, moving on to Zerida. Zerida is a cute demon assassin, and she's one of the game's poster child original characters. Her talent boosts her crit rate at all times, and then further boosts her crit rate and crit damage, reduces damage taken, and increases mobility if you end your turn outside the danger zone. Her 3-cost skill is basically a toggle between her normal Alhazard and Killing Blow skills, opening up a slot for you to run something else as well. She also has a unique helm in the Secret Realm store that heals her and removes a debuff if she ends her turn away from allies. King's Crown is arguably still her best helm, but there are lots of units that compete for those, so kind of like Leaden with Oath of Justice, this could be a way for you to get a good helm on Zerida without taking up something that is rare in your inventory. She's a member of Dark Reincarnation, buffed by Bozel and Licorice, Meteor Strike, buffed by Zerida, and Mythical Realm, buffed by Gizaroff and the Sage of the Trees. So not only does she carry her own faction buff, she's actually currently the only Meteor Strike faction buffer. This means she's quite self-reliant and can slot comfortably into almost any team and then go off and do her own thing if necessary. If you have no adjacent allies within one space, her fusion power increases damage dealt by 10%, lets you move 2 spaces after defeating an enemy, and heals 20% at the end of your action. For bonds, she unlocks the attack bonds for Farakia and Yulia. For her own bonds, she actually doesn't need anyone else to unlock her bonds, you just need to upgrade her classes. For content in PvE, she's technically on faction for Leviar and Scylla in the Eternal Temple, and Jormungandr and Fenrir in Ancient Beckoning, but you don't tend to see her used very often in those modes. She's designed more for erasing targets rather than piling big damage on bosses. For that reason, you do tend to see her a lot in joint battles, and she can be useful in some challenges as well. Of course, where she really shines is in PvP. Not only is she a great assassin, but she and characters like her are also great counters to other Zeridas. At 6-star, you can get 4 additional mobility by ending your turn outside the danger zone, which makes her a powerful map control option. Of course, the future meta contains other strong zoning characters like Helena and Werner, which can make it tougher for Zerida to exert influence, so plan your bans accordingly. For availability, Zerida is also not on the predicted banner schedule, which means the earliest she'd be able to headline another banner would be August. So we'll have to wait and find out what happens in China over the next few weeks and see if Zerida and Sigma are coming back anytime soon. Okay, so here's the quick and dirty. We have Sigma, who's a long-range assassination specialist. He carries one of the faction buffs for Yeles Legends, and he unlocks the defensive bonds for Alfred and Omega, and the attack bonds for Claret, Lambda, and Rainforce. Then we have Zerida, who's a top-tier assassin. She's currently the sole faction buffer for Meteor Strike, and she unlocks the attack bonds for Farakia and Yulia. Finally, just the usual reminder about upcoming banners. Next week we should be getting a Mythical Realm Destiny banner featuring Lambda, Gizaroff, and young Jessica. The week after that, we should be getting the return of the now classic recurring banner featuring Leaden, Rachel, and Altamuller. After those 2 Destiny banners, the next major update in April will bring the Keith Courage crossover featuring little cartoon children Wataru and Himiko. Himiko in particular is going to be a very annoying debuff and displace type unit in Season 7 and beyond, so that's a character to look out for if that's a style of play that you enjoy. So hopefully you found this video and these summaries helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you're planning on summoning for one of these 2 assassins, and actually let me know if you already have Sigma built up in preparation for his SP class as well. I do have a 6-star Sigma, and I'm looking forward to getting that SP class unlocked. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to fit him into my box or not, but we'll do some testing and find out. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next Should You Summon.